Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, so let's get going. Welcome to this fourth live stream where we'll take a look at the fix that I've got for the layering system. In the last live stream, we got a problem, which was that the curves were not being read by the system. All right, so the fix was all about adding these layered blend per bone here. But firstly, I'm going to show you how it looked like before so that you don't get confused. So usually we had something like this. Oh, actually, it's something like this. So you would usually have a pose. There's an animation right here, which is one single frame. So the character would be able to hold his hand like this, right? So when you press and play, as you can see, the pose is not being applied to the character, as you can see right there. And I have a code inside the event graph, which is for checking out the value. So let me see which value there is in here. So we have a lot of curves. And basically what we want to do is just read the value to see if it's working. So let's take a look at the layering legs. Let me take a look at the... Okay, so let's see. Yeah, let's do the... take a look at the layer blending. Let me see if we have the layering legs as in this one right here. No, we do not have. Let's see, layering pelvis maybe. Do we have the layering pelvis curve? Yes, we do. So as you can see, if you search for the curve name, as you can see here, the default value is 1, which means as soon as you play and execute that animation, which is this one right here, this value should be 1. Being out of the return value here should be 1. So when I press on play, as you can see, it's 0. As you can see right here, it's 0, which means that the curve value is not being read by the system. And that's the bug that I had in the last live stream. And I could not be able to solve it until now. So I'm going to show you what I did for fixing the bug. And the reason why we need this is because inside the animation graph, inside the layer blending, the animation layer I did, the reason why we need that is because when you press play, and let's debug this, as you can see, if the curve values are not being read or cannot be read, it cannot switch. So we have this two-way blend here node. We have this node called two-way blend, and it blends between A and B based on the curve value. So if it's 1, then it switches back to B. If it's 0, then it stays on A. And what's happening here is that as the curve is not being, cannot be read at any time, it's always going to be on on the A value. And if it was able to be read, the curves, it was going to be on B. And it would look something like this. As you can see now, the character can blend his upper body, but as we don't have that much control, the other curves are not being read. The character is going to stay a little bit weird. Maybe some of the values that should be read and should be working right, it's not working right. So as the other curve values are not working, cannot be read, the layering system cannot work by its own. Like the full system is not ideal. It's not working the ideal way of how it usually works. So to fix that bug, as you can see right here, I have this poles right here. As you can see, the bones are in pink. So as you can see, I have this is because I am basically toggling the poles watch. So to basically enable that poles watch, to see basically what's the poles that is being thrown at this input poles right here. The poles that we are applying to whatever graph you're doing is basically just play the game and right click on the poles and toggle the poles watch. So as you can see, it changed to, before it was pink, now it changed to blue, and you're able to see the animation, which animation is going to be played before the end result. So yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna show you the fix I've got, and was basically putting this layer blend per bone here. So to put this layer blend per bone, I've had to firstly promote, for example, like this. Let's do this. So let's do this. Oops, messed it up. And here on initialization, I put the overlay state. So here I basically cache the poles and put it in the cache. That makes sense. And then I use that cache value. I use that poles value that it's stored in this cache, and then put into the initialization node. And then that goes to the overlay input. So now we need to put this layer blend per bone, and then connect this into here as the base poles. Let me see if I'm doing it right. Then go to the locomotion input. Guess that's gonna work. And now when you add this layer blend per bone, which is basically by doing this, you can add layering blend per bone. Let me just see, layered blend per bone. You can just add this node right here. And here in the values, you don't need to change anything. Perhaps this option could be changed, but I don't know how this bug fix is going to go. But for now, you're going to just let it empty. And now when you press play, as you can see, now the character pulse works. As you can see, we get the value of 1 in here, as you can see right there. Now, for the blend weight, as we don't need to have any blend weight. Now, of course, I don't know how why it works. I just know that it works. So if you're having an issue like this, that the animation curves are not being read, this could be the solution for you, which is by using a layered blend per bone and not adding anything here, not adding any bones or anything like this. Now, what I usually like to do on the blend weights is to add a 0.01 value so that it doesn't affect anything. As you can see, it like the curves turns to be a little bit more weaker because we don't have any, we're not having as much as pulses in here. But I don't know if this is the right way to do this. I don't know if it would be the right way to do this, but we're going to use this method so far to fix, or maybe temporarily fix the bug that we have. So as you can see, now the curve values are being read, which is great. I don't know if it matters if you put a blend of 1 or 0.1 in here. I didn't notice a difference so far. If you put 0.1, I don't know if it matters. I don't know if it matters, but I'm going to let it to be 1 so far for now. And that's it. So now that the curves are being read, you can notice that in the layer blending, in this layering, complex layering system that Caleb has done, it is absolutely amazing. And now if you press on play and debug, as you can see, now the curves are magically working. Now the curves are being read, great. And in this animation specifically, we have the layering pelvis and it's set to be 1 as a base value. That's the default value. So as soon as that animation is executed, the key is being read in here, so the value is 1, so that the two-way blend can switch from A to B, like so. Now, of course, if you change the animation, let's say if we change the animation here and let's say put the other animation that doesn't blend the spine, the pelvis, this is going to be going to A, right? So here's the thing: when you press on play here, the two-way blend is basically reading that curve value, and if it's 1, then it's going to switch to B, which is going to basically have a different, setup in here, and it's going to basically do the job for us of adding basically how we should blend, how the upper body should blend to the character. Now, if you edit that curve value, let's say right now it is 1, but now let's say I don't want to blend the pelvis anymore. I don't want to blend the pelvis at all. So I'm going to put that value to be 0. So basically here you can click on this key value in here. If you don't have that key value like this, if you're in doubt how to add it, you just gotta click on the curve and press enter on the keyboard. So as you can see, as soon as you press enter on the keyboard, you're gonna be able to see that the value is -0, and you can just click on the key value and add it to be 0. Let's just test it and add it to be 0 and see how the two-way blend performs. So as you can see, now the value is being read as 0 in here, and the two-way blend switched back to A, right? Now, that's basically how it should behave. Now, if I add it to be 0.5, I don't actually know what's going to happen, if it's going to be on A or B. So let's check it out. Play. So it's going to be in the middle term. It's going to be on the middle term of a blend. So it's not really going to blend. Let's say, what is the result back again on 0? Let's see how it works, how the blend is going to be. So the character should, yeah. So by blending the pelvis, the character motion on the pelvis is a little bit more loose, I would say. I think the arms move a little bit to the left and right. If I'm not wrong, let me see. Yeah, that doesn't make any change visually, but that's usually the way it goes. So let's take a look at the other options we have here. So let's say I don't want to blend the right arm at all. So here we have the layering arm RLS. And if I double click on that, here I can select which curve I want to edit. So I want to edit the arm, layering arm R, which is the right arm. And here, if I click on this, I can see that the curve value currently is 1. Now let's go ahead and check which value we have in there. So here, let me see where that is. R, yeah, there we go. So here I'm gonna press play, and here I'm watching the float double precision. It is, I cannot really watch this value, I don't know why, but let's change this value to be 1 and let's see what happens. And let's see if the right arm is going to be blending. So let's press play. Yeah, as you can see right there, the character is not doing great, but as you can see, it's working. Yeah, the character walks very, very weird. And that's because you have to set up all the values to be 0. So if you're changing this value to be 0, which means that you don't want to have any layering, any upper body layering for this specific animation, you just have to set everything to 0. So if you go to the arm and edit all the curves at the same time, and you basically set them to be 0 like this, never do this, by the way, because you're going to lose the values. So as you can see, the character, the right arm is not being blended anymore. I'm just afraid that I can lose those values. I cannot lose those values. Yeah, there you go. So that's basically how it works. If you just delete all the curves as well, there's not going to be any layering system. So but that's basically it. That's basically how the layering system works. You can basically add which part of the body you want to layer for that specific animation. In this case, the animation that we're using is the pose pistol stand, which is this one right here. And you can basically choose which specific part of the character on this animation is going to be blending into the character, which specific part of the pose, which specific part of the body of the character is going to be blending, is going to really be blending in the final result in real time. So you can choose the value here. If you want to also choose, let's do something here really interesting. Let's say this animation has the pose of the character, of the head of the character to be looking up. So I'm just going to add a key so that the character can look up. And let's say this is the animation that the character should be at when it's layering the head. So this is the kind of the head position that the character should have when playing this animation. Now let's take a look at the press play. And as you can see, the character is not looking up, which is pretty... Oh, I have some issues. I think I'm not layering the spine. Is it the spine or the pelvis? Yeah, now I I don't know which setting we should put there. But if you do not want to basically, if you want to exclude the head, you can. So I'm just going to select this and press 0 so that I can exclude the head from being layered. So when I press play, now the character is not layering the head, which is great. Now I have to fix this bug. I don't know what happened there. I don't know which value I put wrong. Maybe it's the pelvis. No. Let's put that to 0. Maybe that's the thing. No. Okay, I messed it up. Yeah, so let's delete this additive layer tracking here. Maybe it's the pelvis that I'm missing. I'm not sure. Let's do that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check which poses. Wait, what is the pose that is in the default animation real quick? So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy and see which one it is in the default ref. Let me see if I can just copy all these poses and add them directly into here. Yeah, I think it worked. And press play. Yeah, not yet. Let me see if there is something plugged. Ah, I'm missing the pelvis. I was missing the poles right here. So there we go. Now it's fixed. One broke connection can break everything. Okay, so I'm gonna have to switch this because if the character is crouching, poses are going to be a little bit different. All right. All right, so the next thing to do is, as in the previous live stream, we set up the pistol 1H overlay. We've set up some states in here. So we have currently 3 states. And the reason why is because we want to have as much as detail as possible of the state of how the character holds the weapon, because that's really interesting. That's really genius to have those 3 states. So we, on the ALS, so let me show you the blueprint. Let's go to the character logic. We have the 3 states in there. So if you go to the mesh and go to the animation class, go to the animation class and go to the animation graph and go to the overlay layer. So to the overlay states, we have a pretty specific state for each weapon. So let's get the pistol 1H and let's debug the character like this. So as you can see right here, we switch between those 3 states right here. And they're basically, let me just organize them a little bit more. Okay, put that in here. There you go. So let's get the pistol 1H, one hand. And as soon as you aim and stop aiming, the character does not go directly into the relaxed pose yet. It goes to the ready state. And that's really interesting. Makes the character to be a little bit more alive, and you have a lot more options. You have, I don't know, it makes the game to feel a little bit more alive, the character to be a little bit more alive and dynamic. And when you, as soon as you run, as you can see, the ready switches back to the relaxed pose instantly. And that's really good if you want to, I think that's what really would happen in most games. So we've did the same in here. But in here I've just made one state machine, but we can basically put a state machine inside another state machine, which is pretty insane, as Caleb has done here. So as you can see, here we have the overlay state, which is basically an animation layer. And to add a new animation layer, you can just click on here to add a new one if you want. And let's name this to be, I don't know, test 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can just drag and drop that to the 2D graph, and boom, now we have a new animation layer. Now, if you double click on that new animation layer, we have the output pose, which you can just add a new state machine. And then inside the state machine, you can add another state. And inside this inside the state, you can add a new state machine. And it can just go on and on. Now here on the overlay layer, which is an animation layer, it's good to have those animation layer because you have separate graphs and you can just basically modify them. You have more control, and the graph itself becomes a little bit more cleaner once you do create animation layers like this. For the overlay state, so inside once you click the animation layer, which represents the overlay layer of the character, the upper body poses. So without this, let's just disconnect this and press on play. The character, if I try to select any upper body pose, the character wouldn't be able to blend. So the overlay states are basically the upper body blend of the character. They are responsible for changing the states. So if you're holding the pistol one hand and switch back to the pistol to H, it's going to change the state based on these values here. The overlay state is basically reading the overlay state value in numerator, and based on that value, if it's 1H or whatever, it's going to change. We don't really need to go into much depth into this right now. I'm creating a different system, a more simpler system, so that it's easier to understand. Now, I don't really know much about this state here that is green. Let me see how I can add this. I think it's a state. It's a conduit. I don't know how they work. I don't know how they work yet. So yeah, that's basically it. So let's go to the... So basically here on the pistol 1H overlay, we have the relaxed pose, ready pose, and aiming. And each one of them has their own specific animation frame for when the character is holding the pistol 1H, one hand. So you're just gonna go ahead and just plug that into here. And that's pretty much all you're gonna do. And now we're in press play. And as you can see, the hand of the character, the finger of the character has already changed. So as soon as you aim, now all the poses work. When you switch back to ready state, they all work. Now if you double click on the pistol 1H overlay, you're gonna be able to see the states being changed. Like this. So when you aim, it goes to ready, and then it goes to aiming right away. So if I stop aiming, it goes to ready, and then slowly goes to the relaxed pose. And it's good to have that control of the transition duration of when you go from ready to relaxed, or vice versa, because you can basically edit how much long does it take for the character to go from ready to the relaxed pose. So as you can see right here, if you click on this transition, which goes from the ready to the relaxed pose, so you really have to pay attention to the arrows here for the transition rules, because they basically show where it basically shows where the transition is going. And you can set up the specific transition rule for that specific transition direction, which is going from ready to relax. In this case, it's run right here. So you can basically define the duration of how long it's going to take. So right now it is 75 milliseconds. If I choose it to be 2, let's say how it's going to be. It's going to take 2 seconds until the character goes to the relaxed pose, as you can see right there. So I'm just going to take a pause for a moment and I'll be right back. All right, so here, the layer blending, you have to fix those poses. I guess I'm gonna have to continue this live stream later because I have to organize a little bit of what I'm going to do next and what's going to be the best move later. So for now, this live stream was about fixing the layering blend per bone and explaining a little bit how the curves work and how they're important. And probably in the next live stream, we're going to talk about adding more states. So we're going to have multiple overlay states. We don't necessarily need to add all of this, but we're going to probably organize this a little bit better so that it becomes cleaner, and we're going to have a great system at the end. So that's going to be it. I hope you enjoyed, and I see you very soon.